In this tutorial, we're going to learn how to create some geometric shapes. So the first shape we're going to create is a cylinder. So click on the circle tool, then using the origin, which is the center of all axes, click, drag out the cylinder, and type in 100, enter, and that will give us a diameter of 200 and a radius of 100. Then with the push-pull tool, click on the circle, drag it up and type in 150 and enter, then spacebar so you don't accidentally keep push-pulling. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to create a truncated cone from this cylinder. So if you were to select the top of the circle, you could then click on the offset tool, and once you do that, it selects the edges. So if you click anywhere to begin, drag it inwards, you could then type in, let's say 50, and if 50 was too much, you could just type 25, enter. As long as you're still in the same tool, you could keep repeating different measurements until you change tools. So I'm just still typing different measurements, and let's finally decide on 30 millimeters in. So now what we want to do is truncate that cone. So if we were to get the select tool again, we're going to select the surface that we want to move upwards and use. Then we're going to click on the move tool, and we're going to just try and click on the surface, drag it upwards, and move it upwards along the blue axis. So it looks like it's going up along that blue axis just right. So we're going to click, and we'll just have a spin around to see if it's done what we wanted it to do. But as you can see, it stayed on exactly the same plane that it was on, so it didn't actually move upwards at all. It just moved along that face, that coplanar face. So to make it auto fold, we're going to click on the surface again. We're going to go up along the blue axis, and there's two ways to make it fold. We can press Alt, which then releases it and links it to an auto fold, and you can see now it's folding upwards. Otherwise, when you click to move it, you press the up arrow, and that will lock it in that blue direction. So I think, in my opinion, the arrows are a great way to lock things in certain axes or directions. And maybe let's just say 50 and enter. Again, if that's not enough, 75, enter, and it will just keep on adjusting the measurement. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to turn this circle into a cone. So if we go to the line tool, and we want to find the center point of the circle. So sometimes, like, I'm hovering on the center point and it's not really finding it. So if I want to find that center point, I can hover on an endpoint just for a second without clicking, and you can see it's referencing that center point. Now when I go to the center, it should enable me to snap to that center point. So I'm going to click there with the line tool out to an endpoint, click, escape, so I don't keep drawing a line, click from the center point out to an endpoint. It doesn't really matter exactly which endpoint you use, and then one more click out to an endpoint. There we are. As you can see, there's a selected surface which is going to inhibit us from moving the center point up along the blue axis. So for example, if I was going to try and do it right now, if I click on the move tool and then I click on the midpoint there, it's going to try and move that whole segment upwards, which is interesting, but it's not quite what we want to do. So what you need to do is grab the select tool, click in white space or away from the model, then get the move tool, click on the center point of those three lines, and go up along the axis. And just like before, you either need to use Alt or the up arrow to lock it along that blue axis. So we've done that now, and you can see that it's now created a cone. So by breaking it into three pieces, it enabled us to automatically fold the center point up along the blue axis. So let's say we want to soften and smooth the cone. So I'm going to try and just erase it. So with the eraser, I'm going to click on the edge, and whoops, there we are. It accidentally or on purpose took away that edge. So erase by itself doesn't quite work. So you need to hold Control on your keyboard, click on the surface or the edge, and then it will soften and smooth. So with the eraser and Control, click on the edge and it will soften and smooth away those lines. And it will also blend the surface, so it will create just one surface. Okay, so the next shape we're going to learn is just creating a polygon. So if we go over to the left hand side of our screen and click on the Polygon Tool, automatically it's going to create a six-sided polygon. So if I click and drag that out, you can see that we've got a polygon. Then if we go and click on the push-pull tool, you can obviously extrude that up. But if we click on that same tool again, it shows the sides. If we type in 8, enter, then it's going to increase the sides. So if we click and drag that out, now it's an octagon. And I can push-pull that up and then click there. What's interesting is that if I wanted to push-pull the surface up and reference another height, I can actually, if I do it right, like if I one click on the surface, which releases my finger, and my fingers or my hands not really touching the mouse, I can then hold the scroll wheel down in orbit, change my view, and then reference a height. So by doing it that way without holding your left mouse button down, you can orbit and change your view and then select a point that you want to reference. So just like the cone, I could start from the center point, create 3 edges. It should be enough. Let's give it a go. I'm just testing this for the first time. Click on the midpoint, up arrow. No, we need to break it up into more segments. So if we break it up into all segments, just with the line tool, get the move tool, up arrow, we can actually reference other points. So again, I broke that up into all the 8 sides. Nothing else is selected. Then I just get the move tool, click in the center point, press the up arrow, it starts to move it upwards, and then I can go and reference any height or point that I want to. So if I was to click on this, the polygon tool one more time, I could actually type in 48, enter, and essentially it's just a circle. So the circle and the polygon tool work very similar. So if I click on the circle tool, as soon as I type in 48 and enter, I've now got a 48 sided circle. And if I push pull that, you can see it's nice and smooth. But if I right click and explode the curve before push pulling it, you can now see the 48 segments. So obviously the more segments, the smoother, but please keep in mind that when you're working with large models, more segments means that it takes longer to calculate for navigating around. So just be aware of that.